Good afternoon. I'm David, and I'm here with Jason today. He's back again. He wanted to talk about some things. Before I get started, bear with us. He's had a rough night, and I got hit. I'm getting hit right now, very nauseated and stuff. But I'm gonna make it through. My head's heated up. But anyway, I'm gonna read this devotion, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Jason for a minute. It says, we could commit homicide or even suicide in a fit of rage. If the perpetrators know of something that is our weakness, they will use it against us. This is the same technique the devil uses on us, which is proof that we're truly up against pure evil at its best. Our road is not one that is wide, smooth, straight, and full of people. Our road is narrow, rocky and crooked. It is a lonely road that few people travel. We are anointed, blessed by the Lord, given grace to follow him for whatever reason. We must ask ourselves, are we going to follow Jesus or not? If we decide to stop wavering between having tantrums, planning homicides, and running from the police, then we pick up our cross and move along. We turn our will and our life over to the care of God and ground ourselves in the spiritual warfare it takes to survive being gang stalked. Following Jesus means doing what he did. Jesus did not worry himself sick over matters, nor did he ever plan to hurt himself. There's no need for us to waste our energy in ways that feed our enemies. I may be the target of hate groups, but so is Jesus. I have everything I need to get through today. Right now, my faith will carry me to places I never dreamed possible. And if you're not a believer, I have a lot of believers that watch this thing, so I do that for them. If you're not a believer, I respect that. I don't think I'm better than you or none of that. That's just for uh to give the people hope. Oh, Jason, you want to start it out?
Yeah, so I'm a believer, and it's helped me tremendously. And I do believe that there's one thing that will be helpful in that if you are a believer is releasing that bitterness and having some like eternal peace. Because when you're going through the fires, it's not always about being joyful and stuff like that. Because you're supposed to take joy in suffering, but just to have the calmness and steadiness that God's present. And so, but bitterness and hate and being angry at these people really is a waste of time for yourself. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's there's a sense of freedom because when you're always trying to plot some sort of I don't know, get back or you know, malice intent. It's just it's a exhausting thing, and given that we are experiencing this stuff all the time, it's just too much. The bitterness will take you as long as as far as you'll let it go, and it's just as bad as what they're doing to us. It makes us just as sick. So yeah, that's why I want to talk about that. So, but my brain is it's kind of a little just foggy, not that great.
And they've been hitting you hard.
Yeah, well, like the weird thing is so it's not like uh, it's a different thing because I told you like I found that thing on the back of my shoulder, right? And I took care of it, like I cut it open and everything, and I've been cleaning it and stuff like that, and it's reduced, like the internal part. You know how like your whole body, your internal body would vibrate, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so my internal body don't vibrate, and actually most of my feeling as far as like my internal stuff is really I'm not experiencing that, but I am still feeling it, and it's making me feel sick, and it's like a buzzing kind of sort of thing. It's like a radiating thing, but since I've taken care of this a little bit, um, it's kind of reduced. Uh, but the they're working hard and they're really trying to do the most because it's like a pressure. You can feel the literal pressure and like a wave of like some sort of you know electromagnetic wave is just rains down on you, and it's a crazy feeling. Um, I put some mirrors up to try to see if about blocking stuff or to shield, and I put this bubble wrap on the bottom. I don't know. I was thinking for like a some sort of give, you know. And what was funny about that is that you can start hearing this bubble wrap going. So yeah, but
Oh,
I do
so when
want
you
to.
put the bubble wrap on the mirror, you could hear it start.
Well, so I set this whole thing up. Like I put a bucket. I got a bucket, right? I put some stuff in it and I put some mirrors around it. This is like it looked like a little tower or something, right? And and it had like different angles of the mirrors. And you'd hear this. I mean, my stuff. You can hear like it's audible. You can hear this like buzzing zzz, and like woo. And then once I start going, and then you can hear that little bucket with the mirrors. You can hear like the bubble wrap on the bottom just going squeak, 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 squeak. And they have been doing some stuff because one time they knocked over my bananas on top of my like little stove thing. I'm like, it's weird, but uh, I don't
Well, they
know.
knocked
Like,
the bananas off the stove.
yeah, they off this little like toaster oven. But like, I mean, I don't know. Like since last year, I've been getting this weird experience. Like, uh, more than just like the internal stuff, and more than just the average stuff. I'm getting like these huge waves, like just and it takes the breath out of me, and I mean, I feel so saturated, and my I I know that you can't see the spectrum of this stuff, but I can see to some degree because if I go outside my house and you look on the roof of my house, right, you can see, how like you've seen like a hot day and the pavement is all kind of like, kind of, have you seen like the pavement
Mm-hmm.
when it's hot, right? So I can see that and I can see it just going all over on top of the roof here, right? And then when I'm inside the house, I can kind of see like little streaks coming down. And for me, this is what my experience was is because I know I've heard people talk about like nano stuff and all that stuff. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I do notice that this big wave that's saturating me interacts with other stuff. So, say, you know, your average power line, your average power outlet or whatever, it has dirty electricity in it, right? So it'll carry it and it'll make it things worse. So, like, I mean, or say you have like a open wire somewhere, or exposure or something, it will use that. And there's this weird thing though, is that I'm noticing that whatever was going on with me with this big wave, I'm not the only thing that draws it. I'm not the only thing that draws it to me, draws it. Just whatever's in my body is not the only thing that draws it, because you know, there's stuff that will draw it in. I noticed that uh, some lights will draw it in, and depending on what uh, uh, kind of light it is and stuff, but it's a weird thing, and I'm kind of confused about because I don't want to be just the next information that people have to digest and be more confused about because um, it's bad enough as it is right now. So, uh, but this is my observation about stuff. So, and um, yeah, it's it's uh, it's funny because I've been doing really well, feeling a lot of peace and stuff, and I still have peace, but pretty pretty exhausted about stuff today, and couple of these last couple of days, and kind of experienced some stuff that really has nothing to do with me personally, as far as like myself individually, but and so that kind of wears on me a little bit, but uh, I do encourage people though, like I encourage all of you, like um, especially I don't know how to explain this, and I don't know if I don't want people to take this wrong, but like uh, it's bad what happens to us, right? And it causes a lot of fear and stuff like that. But there's some of you guys out there, like some of you guys, you got to learn how to do that like no face thing where you just don't react and you just don't have no emotion because yeah, they may know what you're doing because of whatever neural monitoring or whatever that may be, but the individual that's causing that for you, they don't. And you don't give them that satisfaction. And
Yeah, that's why I stopped. That's why I stopped posting. And I'm not telling anybody that's not my advice at all. Don't take my advice. This is what I do. I
yeah,
don't really talk. every now and then I'll say what's going on with me just for documentation. But as
Yeah,
far as getting on there and saying everything they do to me, I
yeah,
stopped doing that because I feel like I'm giving them energy when I do that, because they're seeing
well,
me suffer even more and I'm reacting.
yeah. And you to piggyback on that, I'm gonna tell you something. So, like, I know that everyone says the neuromonitoring, right? And I'm not saying that's not existent or it doesn't exist, and I know that they have some capabilities of that. But there's two things. One, if they do have that, then they've done some stuff that doesn't affect me that I could care less about, and they've done it for a few or quite a while. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if they can read my mind, why are they wasting resources and time to do that, right? And then another thing that I was thinking, how many of us have been on social media, right? Because Facebook a few years ago was saying that their algorithm was so good that they could predict what a person would do at any moment for, like, I don't know how many days ahead. And if an algorithm can do that by just your metadata on a social media app, they don't need to read your mind to 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 do what they do. You know, not oh, and see the reason I want to bring that up because it's a intimidating thing to think of that someone is constantly in your head, right? Constantly in your head. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just trying to give people like another like perspective or maybe another view of a possibility because people will flex. If you see that guy that does that, whatever Giordano, whatever his name is, right? Like he's a high up guy. He talks about the nanotechnology that goes into your brain and all that stuff, right? That's a flex because he's not telling you everything. And they're doing that to scare the people. They're not doing that to inform us. They're doing that to scare us. And it may be true that it's capable of doing that, but they may not be able to do it like they say they can. But it's there to intimidate people because right now, what I can see is that they don't want distance. They don't want people to be independent and to try to, they don't want people to disagree with whatever system they want. And so they're doing a lot of stuff, a lot of nonsense. And us as TIs, we actually are the forefront of this stuff. And you know, uh, when I talked about earlier about the bitterness part, it's probably because I experienced that. Because I was so mad because I felt like it was just a lot of things were going on, and I felt like this urgency of doing something because I have this sort of feeling that things are going to go sideways, and we had the opportunity to try to make sure that at least the community would be a little more safer by building local stuff and trying to share resources, but that didn't turn out and stuff like that. And so I just had to give things to God, and it's been a lot better. But are you doing okay, David?
Yeah, man, I'm just nauseated right now. Man, every time I was taking garlic for a few days and
Mhm.
getting energy and stuff, but man, every time, I missed the garlic for a couple of days. Now I'm back to lethargic, nauseated, no energy at all, just drained. And then they've been trying to get me where all I want to do is sleep. Like right now, I'm so drowsy, but I'm keeping myself up,
Yeah,
trying to fight it. And I guess they want me to be like that so I'm not productive with my
yeah,
activism and stuff. It's
yeah.
like they're trying to keep me so dry. I felt so dry. But when I was taking the garlic, I need to get back to doing that. I ain't even had
Mm,
energy to press no garlic and take it.
mm.
I'm like, I don't even feel like doing dishes, nothing. It's just, but I forced myself to do it. And like I'm forcing myself now to fight drowsiness. They just, man, it's like they want to drain me at all times and make me just feel like I just don't want to do nothing but lay around. I've never
Oh yeah,
been that
no,
way.
me neither. But my body right now because of what they've been doing is I'm constantly in a lot
And
of
then I
pain.
got B2K in my head threatening me, telling me stuff, downgrading me. It's just
Mm,
crazy.
yeah.
But on the mind reading stuff, like I'm uh Holly's ex or whatever used
Uh-huh.
to do some psyop stuff with her, and he actually had this metal piece he took out of his ear one time. She
Mm,
seen it and his ear was bleeding and everything. But she
mm,
would he would tell her what she was thinking all the time.
Yeah, I remember that, and I was thinking to myself though, is that like, yeah, it might be possible, but not in this in the broad scheme of things, not like as like so remote. Like he was in her proximity, right? I mean
Yeah.
that's a logistical thing. That I mean that could possibly be the case is that he was in her proximity. I'm not saying it's not even it doesn't exist or disputing it. I'm just trying to give like some different views about stuff, and you know that's all I'm doing.
Right. It's
I
not
don't
as
know.
easy as they say it is. It's more a
Mm,
complicated process.
I think so, and you know like I do want to tell you before I forget. Eat raw honey if you have nausea. It will help your stomach a lot. It's supposed to help
Oh,
soothe
I
your
got
stomach.
raw honey in there, so
Yeah, take a look at some of that, and that'll help. But yeah, that so I talked about the how my experience has been with the electric with dew and stuff like that, and so my brain it's not normal for me to be like this. I mean,
it's
this
okay.
is
Just take your time, man. Yeah, it's
um
been horrible with my direct energy, man. It's just like
yeah
they drain your, you know, something's going on.
yeah
I've never felt this lethargic before in my life. I've
mm,
always been a go-getter, energy.
oh
And
yeah
our cat keeps throwing up. I'm wondering if you know, you take the cat to the vet says, "Oh, it's all right." Uh,
mm,
so you know, you just wonder if the cat ain't getting hit with what we're getting hit with. You know,
I it's
cat threw up
well,
twice today. So
I'm pretty it's very possible that that's actually what's happening. So I mean that's the reason why I don't own a pet, but I do want to talk about like the so synthetic stuff, right? So I don't know all of what's going on, and I just know from what I've experienced. So, well, I have a tattoo. I got it in 2002. Now, I talked to that guy Andrew, and he said that it was just due to my skin and stuff like that. But it's seems to me that that particular part on my tattoo uh, because the ink actually, I can't,
it
I
rose
really
up,
can't.
didn't it?
The ink, yeah, the ink rose up, and so when I put the peroxide on it and it reacted the way it did, it kind of it made like a sparking sound, like you would on a circuit board, and then like and then this white substance, right? I mean, I could not get it off, and I was scrubbing and scrubbing. And if I did get it off, it would take the skin, and then I just watched it, and it just kind of like it went back to liquid form, but it went back into my skin. But that part in that area, the ink is pretty much gone, and I have like this huge little scar there. But the weird thing, oh, is that I don't really know
Do you think
if
the
it.
direct energy weapons could be making the ink react? Because you know ink's got metal in it.
Oh, I mean, that's all possible. I mean, all that's possible. I don't know. Like, I mean, you know, they do a smorgasbord of stuff. Like, once you think you have it all figured out, they just prove that you don't. You know, because I mean, there's so much to this. I mean, they went overboard. They're like, whatever they're trying to do, they just went overboard because there's a lot of stuff. And once you figure something out, it's just another starting point for whatever game they're playing. So,
Yeah, because
you
I
know,
had a tattoo and certain spots on my chest bubbled up
mhm.
and got
Yeah.
really, really itchy. Like
Uh-huh.
they itched really, really bad, and it was like raised. My tattoo was raised in certain spots, bumps and stuff. I've
Uh-huh.
had this tattoo since 2010, and
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, I don't know if it was you know, and sometimes it's simple stuff like if you use the wrong ink or whatever, you know, but I don't know if it's direct energy weapons call. I mean, I had a flare up when I was getting hit hard about 3 months ago.
Yeah,
Parts
I
of it
don't.
were bubbling up, and
Uh-huh.
it was like they itched really, really bad.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I don't know if that's the case because I have several tattoos. This is the only one. This is one of them. But I have several tattoos. None of my other tattoos do that. But uh, it is weird. And the when I tested my urine and just left it out, it did develop a cloud, and it was electro. It did radiate energy from it. So, you know, it is in our body, like it is in our body. And what I do basically is pretty much I'm on a 24-hour detox kind of thing. Like I eat antioxidants and food-based stuff, and I pretty much my diet is just for like nutrition and for try to remove and get all this as much out of me as possible because they're inundating it all the time with everything. That it's in our food.
Do you got
Yeah,
access to honey and garlic?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, what you do, you can get a mason jar, and that's what I'm going to do sometime this week because we got
Mm,
some honey, some raw, unfiltered, natural honey, and
yeah.
you take garlic cloves and you peel them all the
Uh,
way, and you fill the jar up halfway. You want to poke them with a toothpick or a fork too once you get them peeled, and you fill it up
yeah.
halfway, and then you fill the rest of the jar up with honey, and you seal
Yeah.
it tight, and you put it in a dark space for 60 days. It
Mm,
ferments. So then after
yeah.
it ferments, and I've done did this, and then you take a piece of honey a day and chew it.
Mm.
I mean a piece of garlic a day out there and chew it, and it keeps you healthy and it keeps you deep. I mean, I felt really good. We're out now. We ran out, but I was feeling really good when I was doing that.
Yeah, yeah, and like that actually, and I'm not trying to discourage people from taking supplements, but a lot of the supplements they're not what they are. They're not what you think they are, and they're not as effective as most people think. And it's not really just because of targeting; it's just because of the greedy nature of the business. But also though, like yeah, so if you can find natural stuff, and gut health is very important. That I know this is very important. Your microbial environment, it has to be on point because, like they did, your brain and your gut is connected and like you can get off, like if you ever get angry and then you eat, you're fine. That's because like your emotions can be regulated in your gut and stuff. So, keep like, try to make sure you eat like stuff that has prebiotics on it, and then you do try to eat stuff that has probiotics on it in it, and just it's a diligent thing. It's not just as simple as trying to find like shielding. You have to do so much just to maintain at least some resemblance of health because they deplete you so much and you just feel like you just feel just like a zombie and so yeah, there's so much to do just to maintain the minimum, and it kind of sucks, but
Yeah,
you know
because you're spending all your money on supplements and healthy food just to try to feel energy for 1 or 2 days.
yeah, and you know what I have to say, like that's one we're all going through this, right? And we're just going through it. And like the first years, the first couple of years after my overt stuff happened, I looked up things and I actually basically found that when you first become a TI, there it has to be an op for most of the stuff that you find online is just garbage, right? And then you start living life with this. Then you start doing like, experiments, you start doing stuff, then you find out what may work and what may not work for you and stuff like that. But I was frustrated because there's two camps going on right now, like in the TI community. And I won't mention their names just for the sake of you, but one of them talks about a certain body part, right? Which I could test that because that body part might be there, but it can't be the how because when I did my stuff with my shoulder and I isolated
Yeah.
it, it stopped my symptoms altogether. Like if it was the biofilm, right, that kept me going, then that kept them doing the stuff that they're doing, then I don't know how I was able to isolate it and have the symptoms stop. Now, of course, it doesn't stay quite like that, right? But and and I just I there's it's so hard for me. Obviously, probably people might know what's going on when I say that word biofield, but you got to know stuff, and like it sucks because you kind of have to be an expert in like all kinds of crap when you're a TI. Like you got to understand psychology, you have to understand physics, you have to understand all kinds of nonsense, and see like people are not understanding by that person doing what she does by not having social media, by having these videos and then cutting them off, by having people that know her regulate certain things and talk about certain things. You don't understand that part that she does. is just like a cult member leader. Like she is indoctrinating people by just not only that, but she repeats stuff over and over again, and she uses a bunch of rhetoric, and she will attack an individual for uh, disagreeing with her. So when I hear people get so, and I don't want to offend you, but I really encourage people to not just blindly follow someone because like no matter how someone best interests can be, they can always be wrong. So you got to look into it for yourself and don't be just so willing to follow someone to the point where it makes you emotional if someone disagrees with you. And you be everyone should be able to talk and disagree with certain viewpoints and still be able to get along because we don't have very many people around us, and I really feel like the tribal stuff that people do where they take sides on, the other one, which is the justice side, which that one is another thing that's kind of hard for me to deal with. And I'm not trying to say to anybody that those two things are willingly doing something wrong or, but it's possible that it is the case. And I just want people to kind of have discernment because, like with the other side, that's the first one that I actually went to.
That sounds like stonewalling.
Yeah. That,
Stonewalling is when you present something or you put an argument and then you cut off where they can't respond, make it where they can't
uh,
respond or give their 2 cents or give a chance to speak.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Perps do it all the time too.
oh yeah, first do. I know. I mean, and well, we all do.
But
We all
that's
do.
why you won't hear me endorse nobody on here because
Uh,
I really, in the big scheme of things, you never know. And all these groups could be control groups.
uh,
One big test, another experimentation for bringing people together, leading them astray, and watching them go astray, and taking their money and stuff like that. And I'm not saying
well,
that's what happened, but I would never endorse it because if I
uh,
endorse any one of them people on my channel and then come
uh,
out they were scamming somebody,
uh,
they're going to be mad at me too for endorsing that. That's why I never endorse that stuff on my channel.
yeah.
You know,
Well, and so I have to give food for thought for the justice part because that's the first site I went to. All the information that he gave is incorrect. You know that. I know that. By the time you've been in it for a while, you know what's going on, and whatever he said isn't what is going on, isn't exactly what he was saying. Another thing you have to understand is that it is a nonprofit, right? A legitimate nonprofit. That means they have to have board members. And who is a TI? And you have to actually have a state representative in your boardroom. Like I'm talking about, like they had to work in state, they had to be in state, and they have board members. And so if they have that, how are they a TI? Because I don't know anybody that can get anything near that close to that, right? They're always sabotaging stuff.
yeah,
How are they able to do all that stuff? And so and it's food for thought because the thing what I don't like is that there's monies that has been taken from people and they do a lot of stuff and it seems to me like they kind of made this little broadcast sort of network thing with it, right? Because they got like new the graphics for their little uh, YouTube or Rumble videos, and they're going out and they're protesting whatever and all that stuff, and that looks good. But if you are a nonprofit, you're required to do stuff like that. So you have to do that stuff. And then and then like I totally agree with a lot of what Anna says on X. Like I'm like, yeah, that's great, that's great. But really, what is that doing? What is that really doing? And Lighthouse, he worked for NASA. Does anybody know what NASA is? Does anybody know about like the lies that they committed, the lies and all the garbage they've done? And
I've heard a lot of controversy. I stay neutral on the subject just because I don't want I just
Mhm.
I don't give my opinion on it, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I've heard things about Lighthouse that he really didn't work for NASA. I also heard that his name is Winter Calvert, and
yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've heard. So, but
Well,
So I don't get involved in it. I stay away from them groups and just do my
Yeah,
own thing on YouTube, try to help people and
yeah.
do my own research.
Well, yeah,
Even the Bible
and I,
says study to show yourself approved. That means don't be
yeah.
following nobody blindly. Study and figure
Oh,
it out
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I agree. And like, and so like, but I just want to put that out there. Not that it's not 100% for me to say like I'll guarantee all of that stuff or what their intentions are. That's a viewpoint that you could consider because what I really don't really like, no, and this is really what I don't like is that I don't want people to sit around just wait for something like that to happen. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to try to do something because I don't know about you, but have you seen the nonsense that's been going on like every single day of the week? Nonsense, like, and it's just ramping up, and like, and if you've waited so long to get justice from someone else, and this nonsense is gonna happen, who's gonna help you when you need food on the table and stuff like that? You need to have, there's things that I think what should have been done. And that's what my bitterness was about, is that I wanted people to be okay and to have some sort of system that in place that if the fan if crap hit the fan that they would have a legitimate support system to be able to survive. And so like that's what I wanted. So but then I did give it to God. And like I read Isaiah, that don't call what people call what don't call conspiracies what those people call conspiracies. Don't dread what they dread, right? And that's really been important to me. Like, don't fear them. Just don't fear what's going on in this world. Don't fear all that stuff. Fear God, and that's about basically what you need to do because there isn't much that you or anybody can do about this stuff. I mean, this is military stuff, and they're doing some crazy stuff, and uh, I just don't want to people to get lost in this. And I've met some people, and I've tried to reach out with people, and well, it's I actually can tolerate mentally my own stuff for a lot of the things that go on with me, but individuals that have been so badly injured and have like cognitive issues and just a whole bunch of stuff that is really heartbreaking. And so I don't know, but I don't know about that part. My brain is kind of like just shutting off here and there. So,
Yeah, all I can say about that is, if I was a deep state agent and I was part of this program,
mhm.
what better thing to do than to set up a control group, act like you're helping,
uh,
but lead people on blindly with false hope
but yeah,
and and experiment because it's you're keeping up with them. You know what
uh,
they're doing at all times, well, they know anyway, but I'm just saying, it's just I think it's one big experiment, these control groups, and that's just my opinion. Other than that, so I don't mess with them. So I can't tell
yeah,
anybody else what to do, but you got to find your own way. Me, I don't trust them. No, but I've also been around since 2017 and seen, and so have they, and they've been
mhm,
promising justice since 2017. So, uh,
yeah.
but they ain't the only group either. I just think there's a lot, it's a lot of stuff and a lot of agents and all that stuff. And that's why they keep us so separated all the time. And I'm not
Oh,
telling nobody
conflict.
not to trust them or whatever because I don't know. That's just me. I don't feel right.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Well,
just
it's like the Bible says, you don't unite just to say for the sake of uniting. You don't unite just for the sake of uniting. So if someone's doing something shady, yeah, you got to call it out. And then the people that don't be a fan. We're all a community. We're all equal individuals. We don't need to be having people be fans of these individuals and looking up to them like they're some stars or savior or whatever it is. And like I do not know anything for sure about that. So please do not take it personal about my opinion. I am a very observant individual, and what I see does not align with what I think they're offering. But that does not mean I am correct, and I can always be wrong. But I do have to tell you too is that once this program started, they did the psyop at the same time. So we have had a lot of misinformation to lead us astray so much. And it's been a big uphill battle for everybody to do something right because we're divided so much because one, we have so much trauma because when we first have this happen to us, no one will believe us or they'll gaslight us and they won't validate us and they won't make us feel like what is going on is real. And so, like, say that something is talked about in the community, right? And you think that you experienced it or this is what it is, then it becomes a personal attack because it's just like when you first had it happen. They're not believing you. They don't think that you're being truthful or we're not validating you. That's not the case. We just have to understand, like, if you're not able uh, to be open and to adapt and to understand that things may not be what they are, and the worst thing you can do is just find out for yourself. And if it doesn't work out, then obviously it wasn't right. But don't sit all day long. I just I'm not saying this for everybody, but for myself, I don't sit all day long wondering what the technology is that's doing this or I mean, that may be important for some people, but it's not for me. It's not what's keeping me surviving because I can't do anything about that stuff. And I'm definitely not going to dispute certain things, the mind control stuff. Like, I've talked to people about that, and people say they don't have control, and I'm sure that that's probably the case for some people, and I don't know why I really haven't had something like that. Like, I've never really had a moment where I felt like I didn't have sovereignty over myself. I have felt like I've been influenced and manipulated to do something, but to do something because I couldn't control myself from it, I just didn't have that happen yet. And but and maybe that's why my directed energy weapon stuff is becoming such a big deal and a lot harder to deal with because I don't know if I'm giving the proper desire outcome. I don't really know, but you know, um, but I feel like also don't waste your suffering because uh, don't waste your suffering. Don't sit there being bitter. Build yourself up. Uh, do something to be a better person. I actually recommend that you have a relationship with God because that's pretty much the only way that you will get better and you will be stronger. But yeah, do something. Don't I know it's hard to deal with this and don't be coping with like drugs and alcohol because that's just going to make it worse, so much worse. And you're just wasting your suffering. You gotta at least build your something. You gotta build something. If you can't, you gotta build something with yourself. Even if you don't have material stuff, just make sure that you're able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, that person I like in the mirror. I like that person in the mirror. They have dignity. I have dignity and all that stuff because, you know, there's a lot of evil, obviously, and we are uh, fully aware of it. And if you all have seen the devil, then we all need to start understanding that we might want to be the light because this world is dark. And you have to understand that it sucks that we get tortured like this, but we actually got the the premiere. We actually got the opportunity to you know understand and see the world differently before everyone else gets caught off and gets surprised by all this because it's going to happen. People are about to get surprised. On a mass scale, and they're not going to know what's going to happen, right? And it's going to be hard. And there's for me, I feel like suffering is it's preparation. It's perseverance. It builds faith, and it builds character. And I understand that some people don't see it that way, but that's how I see it. So, and I encourage other people to do the same though. So,
Yeah, you got to take all that negative that's happening to you and try to put all that anger and well, that negative energy that is building up in you and try to turn it towards the positive. Try to
yeah,
help somebody or talk another TI out of suicide or something like that.
yeah,
Just a little thing like that can make you feel uh good for the day. And It's just crazy. And then they hit us with different stuff. So I might not experience what you experience, and then that keeps us all at uh divided, because
Yeah,
people are questioning, well, he don't get that, I get that, or he's getting
yeah,
that worse than me, or I'm getting it a lot worse than anybody right now.
mm,
Um, but you don't get it like that. You know what I'm saying? They
yeah,
can't tell me that I went through 9 years of homelessness and totally blacklisted. You know,
hmm,
homeless
yeah,
shelters, churches, nobody would mess with me. Nobody would help me at all. They would all shun their nose at me. And
yeah.
if I would have gave up then, then you know, I wouldn't eventually had a place to live like I do now. Uh, Not saying it's easy because it's not. I'm still tortured every day. Especially lately, very lethargic. Can't even get through the day with hardly any energy. I sleep a lot,
Mm.
that's all they do is put me to sleep constantly, but they do that for mind control stuff. But so the community at large is all divided because we always want to judge people on our circumstances compared to their circumstances when the whole TI community, you know, some people have it worse than others at times. And I may have it worse than you at sometimes, and you may have it worse than me at sometimes. We can't
Yeah.
judge another TI by our situation because I feel like they hit us with different stuff and put us through different things. That way we can't come together. We're
Yeah, well,
constantly questioning.
like God prefers mercy over judgment, right? And how you judge, you can't
Like
uphold
I
the
can't
law.
leave the house. I can't leave the
Yeah,
house and get fresh
yeah,
air without freaking out and having a panic attack. Some
yeah, yeah,
people can. I can't. But
yeah,
I could
yeah,
easily sit back and say, well, look, he can go outside. I can't even go outside. Man, that's
yeah,
not no real TI. People do stuff like that. They judge their situation like that, but that's
yeah.
not
I
how
know.
we should be, because it's all a psyops. Everybody's getting hit with different levels of stuff to keep us divided.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's a circus. I mean, it is so confusing. Like you'd really, I mean, you just don't expect certain things because you're like, oh, I've been told this and that, and then all of a sudden it happens. Like, okay, well, but you do. I do believe, like, I did talk about those two things, but I do have to say, like, I still don't think judgment is the proper thing. Like, we have to give people mercy and grace, and just try to be as personable and kind as possible. And you don't have to be everybody's friend. You don't have to get involved super deep with people, but at least make sure that they know that they're okay and stuff like that. But like I mean, and to compare like each other's torture, it's so hard to do because like it's vastly different. And there's so much my brain. I mean, my brain is. I've been sleep deprived for a week or so, and so I'm not as clear as I usually am. I swear, like there is so much that I did actually want to talk about more about, but I don't recall everything because and this is normal. This is not new. This is new for me. Not able to retain what's going on and kind of having like this short-term memory problem. And
Yeah,
but
you might
I
want to try resting your eyes for 15 minutes at a time.
uh,
Because I get like
uh,
that easy scatterbrain, and then I have to
uh,
rest my eyes. I take so many power naps during the day, it's not funny.
Yeah. So you don't go outside, like, so you wouldn't know what it feels like to actually not be in that kind of, because we are in a kill box, right? And so you would not know what it feels like to not be in that environment, right?
Not for
They
two
do.
years. Uh-uh.
Yeah, because when I go outside, like sometimes I don't know how bad is going on with me, right? Because the physical sensation is not quite the same. When I go outside, like it's a weird feeling. I never thought to myself I would have a feeling that I would enjoy so much. Then when like I feel like all that radiation or whatever is just releasing from my body while I'm out and about. So weird. But yeah, it's a very difficult task, and it's I actually I am Christian, and I'm not apologetic about that. And I really feel like, it's probably the best that you're in people's best interest to be, because like um, it helps a lot because one, like you can face things when you think that God's with you. You can endure more things because if you think God's with you. And the fact that I'm breathing, um, I do know God's with me because there is some nonsense going on, and it's been difficult. It's been very difficult, but because that and I think that's the whole thing about this whole program is that once I had a relationship with God, all that stuff they try to do, like they try to instill fear with you, they try to constantly keep you in a trauma state. They try to do all that stuff to you. Stop with me. Stop with me. Like I don't have like certain things. I don't have certain feelings about stuff. And but it's not like I don't have times that I'm not doing good or whatever, but it's I don't know if it's effective. Like I don't know if as effective if you are Christian and if you do have faith, because I mean you can't if you have a God that is mighty that created this world. How in the world it doesn't matter who you're facing, you have God with you. I mean, what other what other whatever, whoever else would you want? The most powerful, the most high. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And and that's important. And I feel like this whole thing is basically just preparing us all for the beast system thing, because that synthetic biology that sticks in our body and won't leave. What do you think that? Why do you think the beast system, the 666, is going to be implemented? And once you get it, you can't go to heaven. You're condemned. And like they're not free once they get that 666 either. They will have boils, they will have issues too. And what do you think's going on with us right now with all this nonsense? Nonsense like that. And this whole like thing on the news and all the stuff you see on social media. I mean, dude, I can't imagine not having God and watching what's going on in this world. I just can't. I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Especially in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina, in Florida, it doesn't
North
matter. Like,
Carolina, I mean, their towns have been destroyed. There's bodies washing up in trees.
yeah,
There's bodies in mud. The whole town
yeah,
smells like death. I mean,
yeah.
it's horrible right now in North Carolina. 4 or 5 whole towns got wiped out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's a travesty, and like the people. What's weird about that is like if everyone's on board about that, like weather manipulation stuff, and that they're on board that the military can weaponize weather, then and this is 2024, and my stuff went over in 2022. There's no damn way that those people did not know that when I was talking about like electromagnetic waves and stuff like that, that they did not know that that kind of stuff existed. They gaslighted the crap out of me. And that's another thing is that this right here kind of like is a therapeutic thing, right? So I'll talk to you right now and it's kind of therapeutic, and then somebody might feel alone and they'll watch your videos and they'll watch someone else. So they won't feel alone and may feel like they relate with some stuff and everything like that. But as far as like having people like try and make people aware of this, no way. There's hospitals, I swear, hospitals and medical staff that know all about this. And there is police officers. There's so many people that know about this. And I swear, like sometimes the only people that didn't know about it is us. Like we didn't know about it because we were the target. Because they know about it. Like how, I mean, I over and over and over again, I've seen people do about the same script with not just me, but with some other people I know. And I'm like, and just random people. And you think that it would be different if you go a different area, but no, it's not. They have to know. And I did hear that uh, like emergency staff and all that stuff, they have to sign an NDA for something. I don't know what it's for though, but and then the fact is that like I have a new friend, right? Didn't know that that really was actually a thing. And so yeah, people know about this. And so and I kind of felt like that kind of I don't know, um kind of discouraged about that because I really wanted more proactiveness, but you're right about like the everyone's divided and conflicted, and there's a lot of conflict and can't get along about stuff or agree with stuff, so it's hard to gather people up. But you know, I just I'm kind of like a pattern person. I kind of like watch things and I see where things go, and kind of makes me helps me kind of like see certain things, not like a psychic, but see certain scenarios transpire. And uh, um, it's it's not looking good out there. I'm definitely not a fear monger and stuff like that, but yeah, I wish people were going to be more prepared. I so um, before I forget, this is really totally off the topic thing though. Everyone that does a TI that buys stuff online, your stuff, I don't know for 100%, majority of it's tampered with in some way or another. It may look new, it may not even look like it's been opened, but it, it is, you have to be careful with that stuff, especially if something you consume, you have to be careful with that stuff because it's not poison that like the poison that's going to make you sick, but it's the poison that is causing these new uh, stuff to be so effective. They just dump it in there and just give you more of it because it's a constant thing. You try to flesh it out, it's constantly trying to they're just constantly trying to induce it back into you. It's constant. So, you gotta be diligent, but and then, uh and I was surprised because that was a conversation that wasn't really brought up about certain things. And when I found out that that happened with one of my stuff that one of my things that I purchased this little sort of like an air filter thing, right? It's supposed to take the electrons out of the air, and I thought, it seemed to be good and stuff like that, but I didn't correlate anything that was happening to me as far as symptom wise uh, about it. But then I moved to this place for a little bit, and it had on the bed, it had a little like a little um, uh, you know, a plug-in thing, right? So I plugged it in there and set up my stuff, like my shielding stuff. I had this mirror on top of there and all that stuff. And I was laying there, and all of a sudden I heard this squealing like a radio. I said, "What is going on?" And it started squealing. And I looked, and it was that device. It was that thing, right? And and so and I opened it up, and it doesn't look like anything's tampered with, right? But they they I don't know, they whatever, you know, that crystal thing that they do, whatever, but they paint it on or whatever, but it's a substance and it draws this dew in and it interacts with it because I do know this is that one time when I had found out they were doing that to some video games I was purchasing, and I scratched the substance off and I posted it on X. I didn't really get too many people, you know, interacting with it because most of the time when you actually have something super important, X will suppress you for sure. But I did get the military calling me after that. So yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. So yeah,
No, they
but
called you after that?
yeah, they did, they did. That's when they started calling me, and that's when they started doing their little hovering around my over my house. So yeah, they did. So but uh, I don't know. I know that there's there was something that I felt was very important to talk about, and I really feel like I didn't even get that point there. But uh, I don't know if anybody else is experiencing your at least your directed energy stuff more, but I am, and it's been going on for quite some time. And I I just want people that are experiencing this just to have hope, and to pray and to do whatever you can to do suppress the symptoms and stuff. But you know uh, I appreciate you, Dave. And and I'm trying to reach out to people more, and that's why you've seen me do videos and just kind of engaging more. Try
Yeah,
to
I like your post on X. You got a lot of deep thoughts.
yeah, yeah.
Very enlightening sometimes to me. So
Yeah,
keep doing
well, thank
that.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a complicated person. I'll tell you that. Yeah. So okay, I want to tell you this rabbit hole thing, right? So I don't know why we're all selected. I don't know why we're all selected, and I do believe that there's a spiritual aspect to this and stuff like that. And the weird thing is like, okay. So when I was an infant in the crib, my pillow one time, like literally got up, like stood up, and the corner of it like did this like a mouth thing, right? Oh, and I freaked out, and and mom came in. She put me on the bed instead of in the crib. But then, like when I was a little kid, I had a really kind of like a really crabby stepdad. He would punch you and stuff like that. And but he was yelling at me, right? And then I bowed, like some royal bow, but I had no control over that, and I just did it. So and so like I'm just like I just think about like stuff back in with life, and I'm like, what has been going on, and why is it that this is the way it is? What and, like it's so crazy, because I had sleep paralysis one time too. I mean, so much stuff, but I don't know. That was a rabbit hole I wanted to talk about a little bit because I am curious of like what actually is the reasons for selections, I'm sure that might be random for some, but I think, there's something else. There's something else because there's some people there in this community that have something in them that's totally different than most people. And it's like a remarkable people, and you're just kind of amazed about what they do and stuff, and and so yeah, but
Yeah, I don't.
yeah,
I think some of it's revenge, some of it's experimentation, some of it's for
mhm,
gifted people. People,
yeah,
I don't. I just think there's a broad variety of reasons that were put on this list.
yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah.
Oh,
But you know what? I think we can just cut this off now, and because like I really don't know what else I was gonna say. I swear like there was
yeah,
something
I'm
in front
fixing
of
to.
it, but you do look
I'm
tired,
finna
and
turn this off and lay down for a minute before I even upload it
yeah, that's good. That's
because
good.
I'm getting drowsy and I have to a phone call to make it 1:30.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they always hit me, but I appreciate you coming out, man. And I hope you come
Yeah,
back on again in a few months, man. I'm sorry you're scatterbrained. I already know how it is.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm still
It's
gonna post it because it'll still help somebody.
okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. So,
Yeah,
uh, all
but
right.
I'm gonna stop recording now. Hold on.